So here's an unpopular opinion. I don't blend fillers. I thought that most people didn't blend fillers, but I'm finding out that actually a lot of people do. I used to blend in the tear troughs where I mixed the hyaluronic acid filler with a little bit of lidocaine and some saline because I thought that it would pre-hydrate the hyaluronic acid and decrease the amount of swelling that I would get post-procedure. The thing is that as I was injecting it, I could feel, no matter how much mixing I did, I could feel that I was injecting water and that I was injecting hyaluronic acid and I was injecting water. It was never a clear suspension. So I stopped doing it because I want to be precise in how I inject. And I want to inject a smooth layer of filler and not water filler, water filler. I guess other people mix to change the rheology of the filler, but that doesn't make a lot of sense because if you're trying to thin out a filler, there's a lot of thin fillers on the market these days that are manufactured to certain specifications in terms of G prime and in terms of cohesivity. So why do something that is unclear as to what the result is going to be for the patient when you have a product that where the result, we know how it's going to perform. And lastly, when I was trying to take the hyaluronic acid filler that I would use for the temples and mix it with saline to make it a little bit thinner, I actually found that the duration of effect of that filler was considerably less. And I really didn't like that. Now that's not scientific evidence. That's just anecdotally for me. But so I stopped doing it after that. In fact, there's a study that came out in 2019 in one of the journals about how a third of all dermatologists surveyed actually blended fillers, which was surprising to me. So I'm really curious if you could comment about how you do it. What do you blend with? How much do you do it? Which fillers do you blend? Which fillers do you not blend? What's your data? Do you have any evidence about it? And what's your results? I'm really curious to find out. Thanks. Do cosmetic filler injections with hyaluronic acid really cause cancer? Of course they don't. But these articles get published and then patients come into my clinic and I have to explain to them this is complete baloney, right? So this is a great example of how these kinds of rumors and extreme stories propagate all over the internet. I'm talking about this now because I just went to Vegas Cosmetic Surgery Conference and this came up as one of the conversations on stage in terms of what do we do about all these myths that are all over the place on social media. This started when a plastic surgeon from New York presented data that under eye filler can obstruct a little bit of the lymphatic flow in that area after injection. Now, this is not a new observation. We know this, and we know it causes no clinical impact. And as a matter of fact, if there's a little bit of swelling afterwards, you can always put a little bit of enzyme in there and dissolve the filler, and everything goes away and it's all fine. Now, the issue is that then he speculated that this little bit of blockage will cause health problems. Is there any evidence of that? None. And so this journalist then went on to say, oh, well, if it causes health problems, it must cause cancer because lymph nodes have something to do with cancer. Ridiculous. Anyways, I don't see this paper in PubMed. I don't think it ever got published because the evidence is weak. But, however, of course, the rumor gets started and goes on and on. And so we have to talk about it. Thanks. There was an article that was just posted in Allure that I thought was really quite good. It talked about how some injectables can make a future facelift more difficult, technically more complicated, and more risk for complications as well as poor results. She talked to a bunch of plastic surgeons who agreed that using a lot of biostimulants like dilute radius or Sculptra, or using threads, or using deep energy devices like Ulthera or like some of the RF energy devices could cause scarring. Because what we're talking about when we talk about stimulating collagen is that we're causing controlled scarring. Now, for most patients, that's quite effective in doing what we wanted to do, but for some, they scar more than others, and sometimes those patients can't present with issues. Now, I've spoken to a bunch of plastic surgeons as well, and they say that most of the patients they operate on have had something like biostimulatory or energy devices, and it's no problem to do the operation, but occasionally you can get a problem. But in my conversation, what I consistently hear is that what complicates their facelifts more often than anything else is poorly done previous procedures like starter facelifts or mini lifts and things like that people get when they're not really yet ready for facelift and they're not good candidates, but they get them on the cheap because they think that if they get it early, they can have better results later on. So what to do? Read the caption. We are here with Rhonda. Rhonda, how long have we known each other for?
20 years.
20 years, man. It's a long time. She's actually, I look like hell. With over 20 years, she looks great. She looks the same as it was 20 years ago. What I want to do is just bring her chin down a little bit. Her projection is okay, but I'd like to round out her chin a little bit and then bring it down a little bit. So basically that her lower third of her face is in proportion, the proportion that we want, which is 1/3 here, 2/3 here. Okay? So I'm going to use Volux, which is frankly my favorite filler for the chin, to advance the chin area. It's robust enough to bring tissue forward or down or whatever direction I want, but also reversible and with a nice smooth result as long as you have a lot of tissue coverage over where you place the filler. So here we go.